So we've done one of these for each of the Deadpool movies, and they've always been a total blast. I released 200 tickets because I didn't want to be the guy that gave out the two front rows to people, because that would suck. I would hate that. I'd be like, wait, I got it on the Eventbrite, and I'm sitting in the, although this is kind of cool. Okay. So I think we only made all total, we took about 240 of the available 270 seats. But thanks for coming and coming out tonight. By a raise of hands, who has already seen this movie? Yeah. Thank you. I'm so excited. I tell you, I always get in trouble when I go to those set visits. They don't know what to do with me. I'm a weirdo. I don't care about the rules of cinema and all that bullshit. I just go, wow, this is gonna do really well. My instincts have served me my entire career. So when I'm on set and I'm like, you're filming that? What the? I told them, this movie's going over $1 billion. I got chewed out on the first movie in 2015, March 2015. They were filming it, and after they wrapped the scene, I went, oh man, this movie's totally opening to $65 million. 2015, that was a good number. The guys behind the monitor said, shut up, Liefeld, you're jinxing us. How dare you? We don't talk about earnings while we're filming. I'm like, get out of here. Then I was obviously, way wrong. I was way off. It opened $135 million. So yeah. So I just knew when I was on set in London in June last year. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. We all, the comic book, people, our heads are going to explode. It was inevitable. They didn't think there was going to be a strike at the time. They honestly, everyone to a person, thought that the actors wouldn't strike, so obviously that slowed it down. But the reason that this is so cool is people ask me all the time, did you think, well, no, we weren't making movies like this. If you're my age, the only movie that we got was Michael Keaton Batman. That's it. And no one in Hollywood believed that anything other than Batman would work. Well, can it be more like Batman? No! Well, what about, can this be more like, no, these Hollywood people, they get in the box, and they go, only this will work, and there's no thinking outside of it. And so it's fun to have watched the maturation of this, and especially with Hugh Jackman coming back. I remember Fox allowed me to see an early screening of X-Men about a month before it came out, back in the spring of 2000, and I was like, this movie works, because we'd all read. They cut the budget down to nothing, just like Fox loves to do. But it still worked. It worked amazingly. And it was the first ensemble superhero movie. We'd had Blade and we'd had Batman, but they literally, Batman and Robin with Arnold, shut down comic book movies. Like, if you aren't already making one, they're like, they're done. If Batman doesn't work, nothing can work. So then the X-Men worked, and that opened up everything. And we've had these 24 years of all these incredible films. And you guys have heard about how Deadpool was just the movie no one wanted to make. I was on a meeting, a call yesterday, a Zoom with the producer of all three of these movies, Simon Kinberg, and we were talking to somebody else we were working with, and everyone goes, it's the leak that got the movie made. It's not. Joy and I, it's the only time Joy and I, my wife, my beautiful wife, she lifts up our whole family and carries everything. Always does it with the best smile. I met Joy in 1986, immediately in love, but she told me I had to wait a while, so I waited. So the thing is, it's the only time they're ever going to let us in the Vanity Fair party. And the reason I'm name dropping that is we happen to be in front of the president of Fox. His name's, I just called him Jimmy G, because I butcher his name, Jimmy Giaroppolo. But Jimmy G looks like a mafia don, and he's in front of us. And I said, hey, just thanks again for greenlighting Deadpool. And he said, you know what finally convinced us? And he's like, it's not that leak. He goes, Guardians of the Galaxy coming out 4 weeks later, that same summer. We were like, maybe people will see a funny superhero movie with they have talking trees and talking raccoons. So we're not as outlandish, because they have a lot of reservations about making the first Deadpool. So like, from his mouth, he confirmed to Joy and I, like, it took a lot of twisting and arm bending, and finally, obviously, they made that, and you guys showed up. And so fast, 2 years later, obviously, Deadpool 2 came out, which I loved. They had it on all weekend, wherever I would go eat in San Diego. I'm looking up, watching Josh Brolin and Ryan Reynolds and Zazie Beetz as Domino. And that movie is phenomenal. It's incredible. But I knew once they got Hugh Jackman back for this, that it would absolutely 100% blow up. And yes, it's awesome, first and foremost, to see Wolverine, because that's the thing. If Wolverine doesn't stick the landing in 2000, none of it works. Wolverine was the most popular character in comics my whole childhood. I was there when I picked up those comics off the spinner rack. I miss spinner racks. Deadpool came around right as spinner racks were going out. You still have those newsstand versions. I'm not even sure I have a newsstand version, but they're more money, right? I mean, people are, oh, you got the newsstand, you want the newsstand, you don't want the direct market. It makes my head spin. I still haven't kept up with the collectible market. But pulled Wolverine, Hulk 181 off the stands, and I was like, I love this character, Wolverine. And then Giant Size X-Men. I've covered a bunch of this on my podcast as I take you through this crazy journey of me and my love of comics and watching them become giant blockbusters. So, if I haven't said it already, thank you for showing up and making this like a giant opening this weekend. Without you, none of it works. And I'm gonna tell you, I like it better each time I see it. And this will be my fourth time. I'm sure. Now, who here has seen it? And could you prove to me that you've seen it multiple times? How many? How many times? Who's seen it the most? Has someone seen it 5 times? 3's a lot. There's a guy on Twitter on Sunday that showed me all his I've seen it 5 times, and he had every movie ticket. And I'm like, that's a different day and a different time. He's not kidding. These people, this is why these movies do so well, because we love them and we want to see them again and again and again. But Deadpool came around in 1991. You guys immediately loved him into way more. There's a myth out there that, he didn't get popular until the mid-90s. Bullshit. He was incredibly popular from the get-go. Marvel sent me a machine. I thought I was getting a machine washer. You know how they give Corvettes to Tom Cruise when his movies open? I'm like, oh my gosh, New Mutants is doing so well. I'm getting like an appliance. It was like an appliance box. It was all letters, and I read each and every one of them, and I was so excited. And Marvel said, we have to move him up. We have to make him more prominent. This is the most. We have not had a response to a new character in 20 years like this, 2 decades. And you can see there's an interview I gave in Marvel Age magazine where I said I was bringing him back in issue 7. Well, they're like, we need him faster. And he's in X-Force 1. He's in the 5 million copies. Because my buddy actually told me, he said, Rob, look at this issue of Wizard. And the Wizard magazine staff, it was a magazine about comics, promoting comics, and they're like, please people, rally behind Deadpool. We've got to keep this from being canceled. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I remember. I remember Deadpool struggled in the mid 90s, and then he kind of went up on this up and down. But we launched him into the stratosphere, and he's had staying power because of you and you and you and you and you. And obviously, I say this to Ryan. I said it to his face. I said, Ryan, Deadpool was certainly popular, but you made him the global, worldwide mega icon. There's no disputing it. He does it so well, and it takes so much out of him that's why it took 6 years to get this new version. And he has told me, I mean, I have those messages. Rob, this takes every ounce of my blood, quote. This takes every ounce of my blood, and it takes me away from my family. So I'm not sure when we'll see him again, and I'm not sure when we'll see Hugh again. I've got to think right now, when they look at all these receipts, they're having talks. They're having talks because you guys love them so much. I do think there's a segment that was really shocked. Like I said, I'm like, this is totally gonna work. Everyone's gonna see this movie multiple times and love it. The thing I want to say about movies, I never did consider at the time when I was throwing all these characters in the New Mutants. What I was trying to get was action figures made and posters and all that stuff. You guys know my buddy Todd McFarlane. I'll do it right now. For my wife, she's seen me. For the rest of you who think I'm going to be really weird right now, I'm nailing this. This is exactly how this man sounds. Rob, what? You gotta do posters. Posters. They sell so much posters, and you'll get a big royalty. That's why I told you, a Hulk and a Spider-Man. But I had no time for posters. I'm like, I'm sorry. To this day, he's like, you should have done the poster. But no posters. Now Deadpool posters everywhere, right? But I was just trying to make action figures and get them to adapt. Movies, like I said, were out of reach. But for me, and maybe probably for you, I'm old, I'm 56. I was 9 years old when Star Wars came out. My dad was a Baptist minister, and I felt so bad for him. He drove 3 cities just for me to see Star Wars on Memorial Day weekend in 1977. And he's like, Robbie, I can't have anybody seeing me at the theater. I guess there was pornography in Star Wars. I'm like, what's going on? Why? I didn't really understand, but movie theaters were bad. Judgmental Christians, judgmental Christians. And so of which I am one, right? So anyway, the thing is, no, not judgmental, but the thing is, my dad took me to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. He took me to see Star Wars. He took me to see Close Encounters the first time. I fell in love with movies. My dad was always the one to take me. The only time I went to saw the movies with my mom was when they didn't have a babysitter. And they're like, we're seeing Kramer versus Kramer. Bring Robbie. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, a lot of adult stuff. And then they took me to see Airplane in Palm Springs one year. My mom kept trying to cover my eyes. You guys know those scenes. And I was like, this is rad. I need to go to the movies with my parents more. But eventually, when I became a teenager, and he's right up here, he's the best man at my wedding. His name's Tony Liebito. There is not a movie from the 80s that does not come on and I go, I saw that with Tony and Brea. I saw that with Tony and Orange. Roadhouse, Predator, Lethal Weapon, RoboCop. I mean, all we did was see movies. So I love cinema, and I love this theater. This theater opened in 2019. Everyone who lives in Yorba Linda knows that, like, we're getting an IMAX, okay? And I will not tell you how far this is from my house, because if I did, it will blow your mind. I may be able to run here in 60 seconds, okay? But the thing is, it was like bitching, this whole place went up, so much commerce. Finally, the council was destroyed. It was like the empire destroyed the Yorba Linda Council that had been trying to, they got in the way of everything. I remember in 2000, there was gonna be a bridge and all this commerce, and the register printed it, and then they voted it down because they want to keep it horse country and keep it for old people. And so finally, whatever happened, they were defeated, and we got all these great eateries, and we got, all these great new places to shop, and we got this killer theater. And then the pandemic. Holy crap. We probably saw 3 movies here, and then it was shut down. And I swear to God, I thought they were gonna close it because, crickets, right? For a better part of a year, there was no movies, all cinemas. We were all sitting home streaming. And Joy and I love this. We have seen umpteen movies here in this theater, and we saw Twister here 2 weeks ago. We saw Twisters basically where we're going to be sitting tonight. We saw Twisters right there. We come here all the time to see movies. So I was so excited to have this at this Yorba Linda IMAX Regal, because this has become where so many of our great memories are made. But so I've covered comic books. I love comic books. I love making comic book characters. This one became a giant, big monster success because of you guys, and I thank you, and I'll always be grateful. And like I said, he was still, New Mutants 98 came out in time to make it to the spinner racks, because spinner racks were they were my distribution network, and comic books were my drug. And I hit the liquor store, the 7-Eleven, anywhere that had comic books. If I would get my allowance and I'd get $4, that meant, I get 4 comics every 25 cents. They were 25 cents when I was a kid. And so I wasn't going to do anything if I wasn't doing comics. I'd be, I'm not going to say it. I'd have a different career. I wasn't smart enough to be a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, nothing. So it's a good thing that you guys like the stories and the art that I gave you, and you helped me put all my kids to college. Yes, thank you. So here's what I can do. So I saved you from the trailers. We have 10 more minutes. So here's the deal. Love movies. Can't believe this movie is so kick-ass. Love comic books. Can't believe this stuff comes from comic books. Love theaters. And that's why I told you guys the baby's still out here. Because when I was in CinemaCon in April, my publicist, he's brilliant. He's the British man who's checking you all in. He got me to go to CinemaCon in Vegas, and they took us behind the scenes. And the guy who was manufacturing all of these for Regal, for AMC, and for Cinemark, he showed us everything that everyone was getting. They had to pull it off the floor because they didn't want anybody to see it. So they took me behind the scenes of the booth. And when they showed me that baby, I go, that baby is gonna sell out! And it has sold out. My wife, some of you have listened to my podcast and my live streams, and I've told you, there's a scene, I love Joy to death, she's beautiful, she's wonderful, but there is an ism she has. In Napoleon Dynamite, if you've seen that movie, Uncle Rico goes selling stuff. And to make a sale, he brings a boat and a bottle. And do you remember when that girl goes, he's making the sale, and he goes, and if you do this right now, we'll give you this boat and a bottle. And the wife goes to the husband and goes, I want that. My wife is the original. I want that. If I bring home one Deadpool baby, how many you got? Can we get more? The other night she saw him, Dave Hong, I don't know if he's in here yet. He's badass. He does all the live streams with me. He runs everything. He's Key Collectibles online. We were starting our live stream, and Joyce saw the stuff she had, and she goes, "I'm going to the movie theaters to buy all this stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, that's gonna be ugly." And the next thing I know, I get a photo. All our merchandise is sold out at AMC. All our Joy, God bless you, girl. But she just got a lump of coal that night. I already got everything. You don't need more. I want that. Joy is the original. If you have a tchotchke, like right now, she has my friendship bracelets that everyone gave me at Comic-Con, because they're giving me, and some of them have, like, LFG is on there. She informed me tonight, they're her bracelets, okay? So they're hers. I want that, boom, on the wrist, done. Okay, we only have 4 minutes. You guys right here, you're actually in the rows that have 91 and 98. 91 for 1991, 98 for New Mutants 98. You guys right here, you four, so come on down to your comics.
Oh, wow.
Come on down. What comics for? Who else traveled far to be here? Can you guys weigh in?
Burbank?
That's not far. Moreno Valley? Oh, we're gonna do photos in the lobby. All of you asked if you could do. We're gonna do photos in the lobby afterwards. If you want a picture, happy to give you a picture. We've got our Liefeld banner. Hey, how you doing? Oh, well, thank you, sir. Thank you. I love it. Neil Adams. Yes, thank you. I got a Neil Adams Deadpool. Yes. Okay. So who else? I know the family that came from Portland. You need to come down here and get your books. You know who you are. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Oregonians. We don't have all day.